Welcome everyone at the Innovation Café, online once again, and this week it's made possible by Art and Tech Society. For the people that are here for the first time, Innovation Café is a networking event where we share what Eindhoven has in the form of tech design and knowledge, and what everyone is working on. And we do that with presentations, normally with drinks afterwards and a nice dinner and everything. But for now, we're doing it online. So we have a presentation today, and afterwards there will be a little Q&A and discussion, which Myra will also tell you. I just want to let you know that this is recorded. So if you don't want to be in the recording at all, you can leave your camera and your audio off. If you have questions, you can also put them in the chat, but you're also very welcome after the presentation to put your video on and your microphone on so you can ask the questions and talk to Isabelle and join the discussion. So just so you know, for now, that's all I wanted to say about that. And I want to give the word to Myra to introduce Art and Tech Society.
Yes, thanks a lot, Margot. Yeah, welcome everybody. And thanks, Professor Isabelle Reymen, for accepting the invitation to give this talk. Thanks, Casarna and Margot, for their support. I'm Mayra Horta Maldonado. I'm Managing Director of Art and Tech Society, which is a new foundation in Eindhoven that uses art and technology to create a more human and nature-centered prosperity. These presentations contributes with our mission to start analyzing and being critical about our current paradigms. The team behind Art and Tech Society thinks that we as a society need to think and act differently in order to create a better future. And one of the obstacles that our Western society encounters to reach a higher level of consciousness and solve its problem in a more holistic way is its reductionist ways of thinking and working. I call it myself narrow-minded. And this mindset blinds us to see the interrelationship and interdependence among systems and a long time. So when confronting problems, society tends to chop them into small pieces and give each piece to a specialist familiar with that chunk. And over time, as we engage more and more in this practice, society, that can be also individuals, are enabled to address the complicated and messy problems we confront. There are several experiments or initiatives trying to change this mentality, where problems are solved in a more interdisciplinary way. And today we will learn from one of them. We will hear from Isabelle Reymen, Scientific Director of the TUI Innovation Space, the experiences, learnings, and challenges that this center has encountered in the last years. So thanks, Isabelle, for this talk, and the floor is yours.
Yes, thanks, Myra, for this really nice introduction. Yes, let's start. This is me. Normally, you would see me more than only my head. This is somewhat more. My background is in design. I studied architecture in Belgium. And then I came to Eindhoven to do a PhD. And I looked at designing in architecture, but also in software engineering and in mechanical engineering. And I used this insight. I got my PhD in design science. I moved then to Twente for 4 years in the construction sector again. But then I came back to Eindhoven, and from design management in what I did in Twente, I switched to innovation management and entrepreneurship. Really from 2006 onwards, I'm really into entrepreneurship teaching, but also research. And from there, I got an academic career in entrepreneurship and design, and now recently on innovation ecosystems. So the design of the ecosystems, and now even more recently in designing education or redesigning higher education. And I really have this passion for design and entrepreneurial thinking, and I really like to focus on system innovation. And I think that is necessary to solve the big problems. I completely agree with Myra on what is necessary. We need to solve these big problems in society. You know, I think the Sustainable Development Goals I think we really need to focus on them. And I don't know whether you know, but one of them is focusing on the partnerships, also on collaboration to solving these problems. And I really believe in that. So in order to solve these problems, I think we need to create new products, services, but also systems. And therefore, we can use knowledge and technology all available, but it's not so easy. You know, of course, industry is necessary and academia because they are the source of knowledge and technology. But since these problems are so complex, you need really many different disciplines together to solve these problems. And not only different disciplines, but also really different partnerships and collaborations. So also the government is necessary because many, if you want to solve these problems, the value we generate is more for the general public than only private value. So if we solve energy problems or whatever, it's not just helping one company, it's the whole society. So their government has a big role, and also we ourselves, citizens, because the added value we want to create and the problems we want to solve, we are really ourselves involved in it, and part of the problem and the solution. So the idea is that we need to collaborate with very different disciplines or sectors, and that's what I call heterogeneous collaboration, so collaboration of very different nature. And yeah, with these 4 different types, it's necessary. How to organize this collaboration, heterogeneous collaboration, you see in the literature. So I'm professor design of innovation ecosystems. So I have a chair to study these different types of collaboration necessary. But so I am a professor, but I also really like to practice what I preach. So have impact in practice and do something with it. So when I was asked 5 years ago to experiment to innovate the education at the university in Eindhoven and innovate at the TUE level, then I said, yes, I really like to do that because I believe it's time for change. If you really want to solve these bigger problems in the world, we need to change the world. With that, we need to change this. We also need to change the way we innovate, and we have to start with education, in my belief. So it's time for change also in education, how we educate our future engineers. So there's also system innovation or a structural change necessary. And what I will do in the next slides, I will show you 4 ways where I think how education needs to be changed. This is also what we do in TUE Innovation Space. I will show you later. But it's more on an abstract level what I think is necessary. And I will use examples also of what we do in our education at TUE. So the first one is that I really believe we need to offer real-life, open-ended challenges to be worked on in interdisciplinary teams. As I said, to solve these big problems, you need many different disciplines. And current students really like to have an impact in society and to work on these big challenges. They are really, from their passion, from their intrinsic motivation, they like to contribute, and they can learn while contributing to these challenges. And via that also having impact on society. But what you see, these processes are quite complex. It's very dynamic, so it's not so easy, but yeah, we can help them. And I will just give you some examples of the type of challenges that we offer students. So one of the big challenges is food for the world. So one of the challenges, instead of monocropping, so having very big fields with the same type of crops, you can have intercropping, so lanes of different crops, or even multi-cropping, different crops and at a square meter, which is way better for the soil and so on. But to monitor, to maintain, to harvest is way difficult, way more difficult. So we ask our students come up with solutions how to do this, harvesting and so on, and also our new business models to come with that. Another challenge we offer students, which is really the most open-ended we have very good contacts with the European Space Agency and Netherlands Space Office. And in the Netherlands, the satellite data is free of use for all entrepreneurs. Everyone can do something with it. And what we ask our students is develop something useful with satellite data, period. That's it. And so students from what we do, we have often projects of one semester. So they start in February and end in June. There we offer the students several challenges they can choose from. So they take one and close to their passion. We have interdisciplinary teams, and they start with a challenge, and then by the end have a nice solution. For example, in for this challenge, there's 2 times already a startup that came out. The last one was Space Sea, and they created an app for monitoring the seaweed farms on the North Sea. So instead of going with a boat and experts and a diver to go to see how is the seaweed growing and so on, they have just 24/7 an app where you can see how the seaweed grows. So, and in February, they had no idea. They just got this slide, that's it. And in June, they won the UA contest, which is an entrepreneurship competition, and they started their startup. So in, 3.5, 4 months. So this is what we do in interdisciplinary teams, real life open. And the challenges, another one, this is in the bachelor. Here our students, one professor has very good contact with the company Antea, and they want to see how the quality of water pipes is, and they simulated that with sensor swarms and with students from electrical engineering who know a lot about sensors, working together with students from industrial design who can do data visualization, and students from mechanical engineering, because it's about fluid dynamics and fluid mechanics. You have these swarms, these balls going through the water. In our innovation space, they prototyped the system, and they worked on it for the company. And just to give you an idea, interdisciplinary challenges, these are the current challenges students from Innovation Space project, the Bachelor End project, work on. So it goes very broad from in the health sector, but also in art, noise cancelled cities. This is something to do with keystroke dynamic analysis. So how you type, and we can do security stuff. For example, for in COVID times, to see how students do their exams. You on the typing behavior, you can check whether it's there's no fraud detection. No, all kinds of applications and challenges for the students. So perhaps you think, okay, interdisciplinary, but you have also multi and transdisciplinarity. What is the difference? So we focus on interdisciplinarity, which is integrating the different disciplinary perspectives. Multidisciplinary is still keeping the different disciplines separately, and transdisciplinary is creating really new approaches to solve a problem in context. We focus on interdisciplinary, but the other are also already good. Okay, but if you focus on these challenges, it's really one issue that's difficult, and that's dealing with uncertainty, because everything is vague and new. So you don't know the end result. For example, with the satellite data challenge, yeah, students start with nothing, and yeah, they have no clue where they will end. They have to talk with a lot of people. They have to give presentations. They have to think about technology, and they don't know. So they are with people from other cultures, people they don't know, from different disciplines. So a lot of uncertainty, but we are able to help them, because dealing with uncertainty, there are at least two professions I know who can do that. And these are the designers and the entrepreneurs. So my second advice or line of change, way of changing education is combine entrepreneurial acting and design thinking in education, because entrepreneurs as well as designers are able to deal with uncertainty. And I think that's the way forward. And we are all, even with COVID now, we all have to deal with uncertainty. So just some slides on both. I think many of you know, but designing is by a Nobel Prize winner in economics, urban science, it is the core competence of all professional activities. It's the activity of changing the existing situation into a desired one. And what you see here, it's the logo of the company of my father. He was architect in the 60s already. He set up a multidisciplinary study group. So from many different disciplines, he studied and built houses. So I think I have something in my genes from there. So these are just some projects he did. So that's my background, that's design. I came into entrepreneurship, and here Saraswati developed a really nice way of looking at how entrepreneurs deal with entrepreneurship, with uncertainty. It's the traditional way of dealing with uncertainty is predictive. So you try to predict the future the best. And what you do is you take the goal and you try to get the means together to reach that goal. To make it easy, in the kitchen, you have a recipe, that's the goal, and you try to get the ingredients and the tools to make sure that you make and you follow really nice the recipe. That's the causal way of working and of thinking, of this, making decisions. The effectual way, this is how entrepreneurs deal with it. So that's the second part here. You start with what you have, what you know, and whom you know. So you start from the means, and then all many different possible ends are possible. So for example, in the kitchen, you open the refrigerator and you see what's in. And based on that, and with the people you are you with Italians or with say Chinese or Belgian or French? This makes it different because they will choose based on the ingredients different ends and different outputs. So and in effectuation, the focus is on control, being in control, like a pilot on a plane. So and this can also be put in an effectual cycle, in a model. So what the entrepreneurs do is starting from the means, and then they see what possible goals we can create. Then they interact, really interact with many different people. Then you aim for commitments. So, okay, yes, I help you, I call you, I invest in you, which creates new means, and you can go. But you never spend more than you can afford to lose. And when there are surprises, no problem. So when the minister says, Prime Minister, yeah, tomorrow we have again lockdown, okay, or any other change that happens, any other surprise, you can leverage it and adapt your goals and deal with it in a creative way. This is what we will now also teach our students, how to deal with uncertainty. And one practical example, so when it was not yet COVID, we could have the start of the course with an effectual dinner. So we put together the ingredients, raw materials, and we divided the group in starter, main dish, dessert, and have fun. In 2 hours, we want to have dinner. And yeah, they were with many different cultures and backgrounds. And this was the best icebreaker they could imagine. because then, yeah, if you are afraid to talk to other one, you don't know anyone in the group, but yeah, someone needs to cut the tomatoes. So that's how it works. And this is what we did. It's a nice way of team building, but also starting from the effectual principle. The third one. So combining social sciences and engineering. I have a background as a designer, more I'm trained as an engineer. Now I'm in entrepreneurship, which is part of the social sciences, industrial engineering. But the publications we do are all in social sciences, and I really like to bridge both. So in university, we have already bachelor courses that focus on user, society, and enterprise. What we do in the courses is really add that students have to, in order to have innovation, you have to balance three important aspects, which is human desirability, technical feasibility, and business viability. And we combine these, and we constantly ask students to reflect on these three. So, and this is bringing, the human desirability is more from the design perspective, technical feasibility, that's really engineering, and the business side is from the business viability. So we ask students to combine these views. And the last point, fourth one, is to integrate curricular and extracurricular activities. So the idea for changing our education really started looking at what's happening at the university. Several years ago, and I think many of you know these teams, the solar team Eindhoven, they were 4 times world champion with their solar car in Australia. These teams are really working extracurricular. So they worked on building this car with their team in an interdisciplinary team, very entrepreneurial. They thought about system level. It's not about one part of the car. No, they built a whole system, the whole car, from many different perspectives. And in the end, they really learned a lot. But next to education, what we wanted is to offer students this type of learning also in education. And this is what we now call challenge-based learning, and what we facilitate in innovation space. And there are more teams like this. So this is Team Storm. They built their own electric motorcycle and went around the world in 80 days with it. And later on, they developed the startup Spike, which is now called Ileo. They are at the automotive campus in Helmond. And yeah, this develops, they learned really a lot. And we try to also offer this for many students in courses and blend it. And what you see is that the students now also are challenge owner in courses. So there are still students working extracurricular on in these teams, but they are also challenge owner students in courses. And so we try to really make it win-win and blend. So normally I would ask, are there any questions? But I will now go on. So let's now focus on really what are we doing at the university. We are trying to educate the engineers of the future, and what is key for us, why are we doing this? We feel outside world, the companies, but also society needs a new type of engineers who have a T or pie-shaped profile. What we mean, they have disciplinary knowledge, depth, but also they are really able to collaborate with many different disciplines in teams, but they are really interdisciplinary, they have an entrepreneurial mindset, and they can think at the system level. The TUE has now also changed its strategy. It's now really in 2030, we want to be a university that is really challenge-based learning supportive. And innovation space is the pilot where this started. This new transition towards challenge-based learning started very small in innovation space and became now part of the university strategy. What I now will show you is a short movie of innovation space. Yeah, first of all, our definition. We are now a center of expertise for challenge-based learning and student entrepreneurship. The learning hub for education innovation. So we're still experimenting with new ways of innovating education. And we are really the community where the students, the researchers, and people from the government, from industry, all collaborate and work on challenges. So now there is the movie.
The Eindhoven University of Technology distinguishes itself worldwide when it comes to collaboration with innovative industries. In order to educate the engineers of the future, a learning hub has been added to the campus. TUE Innovation Space is the center of expertise for challenge-based learning and student entrepreneurship. A great source of inspiration is the success of the university's student teams, where students from different programs work together towards a common goal. In this way, they learn new skills, attitudes and knowledge, with great achievements. Innovation Space now offers the opportunity to engage in challenging projects within education. Students from all programs can participate in various courses and projects. They can choose a challenge they want to work on: smart mobility, agro-food and tech, energy transition, and many more topics. Real-world, open-ended challenges are brought in by industry and society. This may also be a challenge from a designer or an artist, or a challenge from one of the more than 30 student teams hosted in Innovation Space. The main goals are learning by doing and working in an interdisciplinary team with an entrepreneurial mindset. Lecturers, coaches and professionals from industry help to sharpen the students' entrepreneurial skills and keep an eye on both their personal and team development. For prototyping, students can use all available equipment, and specialized staff is always around for explanation and assistance. There are various workshops in the building, also the workshops of the Equipment and Prototype Center. They can provide technical research support for internal and external clients and are always open to advise and assist the Innovation Space students. To increase synergy and to create a broad community, many events are organized, such as presentations, workshops, speed dates, competitions and parties. TUE Innovation Space, from dream to demo.
Yes. So it partly overlaps what I already said, but this is the core of what we developed at TUE Innovation Space. And perhaps now in summary, so I focus on innovating education, and that's here linking education way more to create social and economic impact. So to help solving the challenges and prepare students for doing this, so creating this structural change in education. And in Eindhoven, we call that challenge-based learning. The other part is that as a professor, I research these heterogeneous collaboration processes in innovation ecosystems. And that's this part of bringing research, make it relevant for society. And I invite you to take up a challenge, really to contribute also, to think how you can contribute to a challenge and do that from a collaborative way, trying to think which disciplines or which other partners can I involve in helping to solve this the challenge you choose. So to partner with other companies, other researchers, government, and just all of us citizens, in order to be able to solve the big challenges. That's it, my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I'm open for all kinds of questions.
Yes, thanks a lot, Isabelle.
Sharing. Yeah.
Yes, I wonder if someone has some questions to Isabelle.
First, everyone is now very welcome to turn on the video as well and ask questions via also audio if you want. Otherwise, if you don't want to be recorded, as mentioned, you can put your questions in the chat.
Well, if nobody wants to start, I would like to have one question to you, which is coming from your presentation, Isabelle. Yes, first of all, it's amazing. I didn't know everything about it, so now I have a lot more information. I'm really happy to have this presentation now. Thanks a lot. I have a question about collaboration, but not with, you talk about faculties within the university, also chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, data science working together. I wonder if there are some plans to work with other universities.
For sure. So we already collaborate with the applied universities. So Fontes is even on our campus in Eindhoven. So we have already Fontes students working in the bachelor end project I showed. We have also plans to collaborate with St. Lucas, which is an art and design school, with Dutch, the Design Academy in Eindhoven, and Avans, also applied sciences. And on other university level, we have an alliance with Utrecht and Wageningen and Utrecht Medical Center. So we are Eindhoven with them. So we have now at this moment Food for Health and Safety Challenge, which is a challenge for the Ministry of Defense, where they look for new mobile ways to have kitchens when they are on missions, and kitchens of food, and so combine food for in very difficult situations when the soldiers have to be there. So this is a collaboration we have in that alliance. And with the 4 technical universities, so with Delft, Twente, and Wageningen, we also collaborate on entrepreneurship, and we're also seeing how to do challenges together. And at European level, we are in Eurotech, which are the technical university, some technical universities in Europe. They are united in Eurotech. And in October, November, we already did a pilot with Technical University of München to work together on a challenge. So these students were, of course, online in an online challenge, working together with students from us. So, and in this year, we were awarded a big project, a European project, and we will work on in 3 times challenges with all these technical universities. So yeah, there are plans, and we are in the midst of upscaling and working it out.
So yes, very promising then.
Yeah.
Yes, Isabelle, I have a question. Rolf here. We linked some earlier.
Yes.
What is your strategic planning for the upcoming 5 years with this initiative?
Yeah. First of all, I didn't include that in the slides, but first of all, in the university itself, we can still scale up. So we have now 2,000 students per year going through this model, using challenge-based learning, but we have way more in Eindhoven. We have way more students, so we need to make sure, because it's not only the students, but also the lecturers have to change. It's completely different type of education. So it's way more coaching. It's completely different. So there is a big challenge in getting way more. We have now really enthusiastic teachers already working with us. But yeah, you have to scale up to others. So in order to have really in the programs way more challenge-based learning than it's now. So that's the first challenge. And then all the upscaling, what I just mentioned, we do the first projects with Fontes and with all the other alliances and collaborations. So, and there are still many challenges also on how do we do this digital or hybrid. The assessment is still an issue. So next years we want to step by step professionalize and scale up. And the other part I did not mention, but also evidence-based, because now, until now, we did. And we are very good, I think, in doing and starting up, and but it's not so much evidence-based yet. So I got a Comenius grant, Comenius Leadership Fellow grant, and we have now 2 postdocs started just in January to study, okay, well, what you did, what's the effect on the learning outcomes, and on, does it work for all students, how to combine, there's so many questions still. So the evidence-based working, and also just documenting what we do, because it's not yet much on the website, really detail on our way of working. So yeah, this is for the next years, and then see how we can help in the Netherlands, other education institutes and in Europe, whatever. So
I think I've got another 100 questions, so I won't ask them, but we will come to this later on, I suppose. So beautiful, thanks.
We have
more.
I have a question.
Yeah. Hoi,
Yes,
Erik.
Isabelle. Well, thank you for presenting. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
well, we know, of course, that especially for lecturers, there are special hurdles if you want to be in an interdisciplinary team. So can you comment on your experiences with that?
yeah, you really have to be able to be more a generalist or have an open mindset if you really want to support this type of courses, especially when I said in my course, all the examples we show, they are in one course, we have several courses like this, but it's very open. So we have entrepreneurship course with many different challenges. If you're narrow-minded, yeah, and if you, so that's one thing. So you need to be open and yeah, really like to learn and see, because the end result is completely not known. You learn together with the students. So the attitude is completely different. And also this interdisciplinarity requires that you accept that you have your own expertise. You often are best as in the process, but not in the depth. So therefore you need to collaborate and trust and work together with other experts, because it's impossible for one person to have the overview. And we ask the students to integrate, but as a teacher yourself, you're not able to integrate, but you should be listening to the others and work together with the experts and also the outside people, the challenge owners and other stakeholders. So this is mainly in the mindset, a big difference. And of course, in all the education methods you use, because instead of sending a lot of information, it is completely different. They can find themselves what they need for knowledge, but you help them step by step, and it's mainly coaching. So yeah, completely different. Yeah. Oh, I don't hear you, Stefan.
I'm a colleague of Erik.
Okay.
I'm also a TUA alumnus. I studied electrical engineering many years ago.
Okay,
and
nice.
I find you in the alumnus periodical.
Okay.
Yeah. So whilst Erik is focusing on the challenge-based learning, I'm thinking about how to circulate the knowledge within the Hogeschool Rotterdam. So could you expand a bit more how you facilitate the exchange of knowledge on the various conditions that you need to address before this learning can really take place? For instance, there's very practical things that you need to solve about schedules and things, and there's also things in the floor, in the teaching and coaching that you need to solve, and it's different levels. So I'm really curious how you how your knowledge building program looks like, and how you organize the exchange and building up of knowledge within all the various disciplines.
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think, to be honest, we did not make so much plans, but we just started. And we started very small with 2 courses. We had a small place in Gaslab on our campus where we just started, and we had also no clue where it would end. So we started with elective course in the master. I set up a new course together with even Akos Wetters, who's one of in the audience I see. But so we started a new thing, elective course, so that's not difficult. And yeah, we created, instead of 5 ECTS, 10 ECTS, so because you need a semester. That was the most strange thing we did, to ask for a course that is the whole semester instead of a quartile, because you really need longer period for the students to get results and learn. So that's the first thing. The other thing was interdisciplinary bachelor end project, and this is really a bigger thing. So instead of normal students do a bachelor end project at the end of their major or at the end of the bachelor, and that's half a year or whatever. They do individual project together with the researcher in their department. And we wanted interdisciplinary teams. So instead of individual, we made teams, and students from all different disciplines could join. And the first tryouts were just with teachers from different disciplines who were, say, flexible, and who said, because we did not arrange anything on a higher level or in the system, whatever, we just started with, okay, I know you from this department, you like innovating education.
Effectuation,
okay. Yeah, really effectuation.
Yeah.
So do you like to coach, be the mentor officially for the student, giving the grade in the department, and when we had the 4 together, that's enough to have a team working on a challenge. Finding the challenge is not difficult, that's easy.
Yeah.
But the things in university are way more difficult, but we just started like that. And then we expanded more and more of these, just informal. And now, even now, after 3 years, we're making it more, really into changing the rules and all the stuff around it. Yeah. But it goes very gradual. So we just start. And when you say about knowledge building programs, we even didn't really start, like, we don't have it now yet, knowledge building program. It's we do it, and we at on different levels, things that need to be arranged. So for example, now we will perhaps be there that we have a course code that indicates a CBL course in the whole thing of courses, that you can see it's a CBL course. Until now, it's not yet there. Okay. So, but it works. And gradually, these smaller practical things, one after each other, it's irritating, and we see it. And sometimes it's a fight, sometimes it goes quite easily. And we solve them one by one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Really,
I could ask a lot more about it, but thank you for the answer for now. Thank you.
We also have some questions in the chat. Mara, do you want to handle them, or should I read it out loud for you?
Yes, I wonder if someone has some questions. If not, then I have some questions for you.
I have one from the people in the chat.
Oh.
I have a question from Bruno. He's asked, well, he's first mentioning, in solving challenges in innovative ways, a multidisciplinary approach is often needed. We learn from experience that it's not easy to make people from different disciplines understand each other. What methods do you use to make disciplines talk to each other and collaborate on a challenge?
That's a good question. So we let the students, what do we explicitly? We ask the students to, they have to find, the challenges are very open, very broad. So, and every student looks from a different perspective to the big challenge, and they need together to come to a problem out of that. The challenge is way broader than the problem they will specifically focus on. So I gave the data example. So satellite data can be used for anything. Okay, but what problem will you solve? Now we will solve, in the end, they came to, we will solve the problem of seaweed farms on North Sea. And that's the smaller problem. But we invite all these individual people with their different backgrounds to look at the problem and to explain what do you see, or at the challenge, I mean. And then together they can come up with a problem. And this gives already problems in language, because they say the same thing and they mean something else. And we try to make that explicit. So we have not, I don't know, perhaps Akos, can you elaborate? What else, how do we tackle this?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Akos. Basically, there's Isabelle already mentioned the soft skills. We as coaches, we are also kind of mirror into the souls of the participants, where we really offer them also the journey into themselves to self-discovery, so that once they know what their interest is, where their strength is, then they can operate much better as a team. And we continuously trigger them to try out and to experiment in new ways, to reach out to the experts, to really understand the problem that exists, and then at the deeper level and the detailed levels of the problem, and then come back, make iterations. And basically, yeah, Isabelle mentioned it's a course of a full semester. In the first 10 weeks, they are puzzled, and the coaches are puzzled too, because every time you face the team that comes to you, okay, we did this, and what's next? Yeah, I don't know, you tell me, because you have much more knowledge about what you are doing. So it's really keeping them going, so that slowly on, they start to feel very comfortable in this crazy fuzzy front-end world, and that they feel happy about the fact that they can deal with this uncertain situation. And once they get to that point, and by then they also understand how to work and act as a professional team, because this whole norming, form, and storming part is behind them. And then they get really to the point that they understand what Isabelle also showed with the different areas like customer desirability, technical, logical feasibility, and business viability. Sometimes, you know, like a joke, I always tell them that I'm not really a coach. I only ask the question, who will pay for it? Okay, because they have a very strong technical and engineering background, but really this concept that we have to create value, we have to capture value, and then we have to be able to deliver the value. How do we do that? Yeah, this whole journey with all these unknowns and different variables. Yeah, so we just make sure that they feel good about themselves and that they keep on going, and that's the way forward. And in the end, they really get a good feeling what it is, and they're just happy.
I hope that answers Bruno's question. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to know about that. I have some more questions in the chat, unless Mara wants to ask another question in between, or do you want me to?
No, yeah, please
okay.
Go ahead.
I have a question from Stephen, or I don't know if it's more of a comment or a question, but he's asking where the reference to the natural world, ecology and evolution could find a place within your concept. Isabelle?
Yes, partly. In the literature, there is discussion whether this applies or not. This ecology applies to ecosystems as we see it. I myself really mainly focus on entrepreneurial ecosystems, so the ecosystems around universities and from technology startups that develop further, and of course now in innovation and education, of course. Whether there the ecology applies, I don't know. It's not completely the same. I think it's more human created, but in order, what is the same is we need to collaborate. That's like in real ecologies and ecosystems, that you need this. They all depends on each other. So if some parts fell out, then the whole ecology, the ecosystem falls down. So perhaps there is some parallel, yes. But yeah, I'm not using it. Yeah.
Stephen, I hope that's a good answer to your question. Then I have one more question from Daniel. Have you designed specific interventions for personal or not personal self-reflection in regards to interdisciplinary teams, or is it more an on-the-go thing?
No, reflection, I didn't mention it. I can tell really a lot about how we do it, but reflection is a really key part, because learning is key. It's really self-directed learning, students in the lead, but in order to do that, you really need to reflect a lot. So we ask students weekly to reflect. So we give them different ways to reflect, but in essence, they should reflect on their personal learning goals, on the learning goals of the course, or that should be in some way that can be related, and weekly also on how they operate as a team. So how is the collaboration in the team going? So they have even to score the different teammates, or how did you do, and make this explicit. This is difficult for many students to do it in the first times, but they see the value of it, also to make sure that they're not someone who does really nothing. But reflection is what we ask them to keep the whole semester long, their biggest learning moments also. On all the learning objectives, they have to say, okay, I learned this, and write that down. And by the end, we say, give us the they are 30% of the grade at the moment now is determined by reflection. So individual reflection is key, and so they have to write down what they learned on each of the learning objectives, their top 3, and yeah, they can use their diary, their weekly diary, say, to make this final reflection. Yeah.
And these weekly reflections, do you combine them with programmatic assessment?
No. Yeah, it is in the sense, I think the coaches, or Akos, for example, the coaching, he asks for this. So he asks the team members and also in the team, how is it going? So we do, what is it? The formal assessment. In that sense, we focus on, we stimulate at least it, and we ask about it. That's the most thing. And so it's along the way in the coaching sessions and by the end. And we also offered several years even extra coaching by people from, say, with the personal development, psychology background, and they could also help students in reflecting. Often when someone struggles too much with dealing with uncertainty or with working in the team, or with, there can be many different reasons when you're when it's more difficult, then there's also extra coaching on it, and that's also really more deeper reflection.
Great, thank you. Oh, so more.
It's a formative assessment. This was the word I didn't use the right word, so it's a formative assessment.
Some more questions coming in. Based upon what do students reflect? So what kind of feedback are system strategies in place for this?
What they develop. So they have, it's very hands-on course. So they have to develop a new business or new product, or the combination of both. So their project, it's only working on the project, so solving the challenge. And by doing that in a team, that's where they reflect on. By doing this, they reflect. So, and yeah, we have, as I said, we have learning objectives, and that's the only, say, structure. And what we already mentioned, that is business viability and these 3. So we give some structure for the reflection. That's it. And they, because of in the doing, so they are doing a lot together as a team. They're developing a solution. That's in that working day. They're reflecting. Yeah.
So Lars is asking, so there's no extra mirror for reflection?
No extra. I don't know. I'm interested in what extra mirror do you mean?
Yeah, I was welcome. I'm looking on my bigger screen, so it's a bit confusing right now. I work at Fontis in Venlo, and we have also, well, not a similar concept, but we work in multidisciplinary teams in real-life business problems. And the thing we struggled, I heard you struggling with this as well, is about the assessment. How do students, I don't want to use the word proof, but how do they prove they learn? And we use a lot of feedback for this, feedback from peers, feedback from business stakeholders, other stakeholders. So we try to combine all this feedback so they can validate their learning objectives. So that's why we really use this feedback thing as a reflection mirror, as a extra data point where they can reflect upon. It's only your perspective on the whole, well, the learning. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, no, for sure we do this, because the coach is just one viewpoint, because we really send students out to the challenge room, but it's just one stakeholder. So the validation, I'm teaching or responsible for a course on entrepreneurship. So validation is key, and they have to go out. And by doing this, they get a proof, say, whether their views are correct or not. And in the end, they have to write down, and this is what the coach weekly asks. what did you learn? And show me the evidence. Yes, I called with 3 people. I did this, I showed, and it didn't work. So we pivot again, and the next week again pivoted. But they collect this evidence themselves. So we don't say, now you have to do this or that. But and they have a lot of, because I also saw the peer reviews. Yes, so we have several sessions where different groups give each other the feedback.
Yeah, that was what I was meaning.
We also did a session that PhD students from different departments gave feedback. So that's from a researcher point of view. We do also many workshops. I didn't mention that, but we offer many workshops like Dare to Fail. So this sets them into thinking. We ask them to look into literature, but in a completely different way. We use Bookathon. We use different kinds of mirrors in that sense. Yeah, to let them. We don't grade that at all, but it's by doing and having all these different inputs, they reflect and they go on in the project. And
Thank you.
I have a question in regard to this. I was speaking to Martin Steinbuch, talking about the Stellar project, and I know Lieselotte Gaas very good. She was one of the team members of the Stellar project, and I was interviewing Maarten about how we made this course or this creation of his in the automotive scene so successful. And it's also about reflection and learning, and I think people in a certain age are able to reflect so far because there is basically no real you need experience to relate your learnings with. And if you are very young, then you're in a certain step of your, what I tend to call the hero's journey. And so you can reflect on a certain step, but you cannot reflect like people of 40 can reflect, because in every stage you learn a different kind of reflection, I suppose. I attempt to make the example with a mountain that you are climbing. You are visiting every time the same site, but every time at another level. So you are reflecting on the same topic at another angle. So how do you cope with this? And what is the maximum of reflection that you can give, that it's not really helping anymore, but really getting more chaos into the process? Isabelle?
Yeah, I'm really surprised how much students are able to reflect, really. So it's really nice to see. I didn't see a barrier yet, and I'm again surprised day by day with what they do. So, for example, yesterday we had the kickoff of the new course for this semester, and we invited the team that had the best pitch and presentation last semester. And the way they reflected on what they learned at a very high level, I was amazed. I don't know, so they could because we did that, so to show to the new students that they had gone through the whole journey, say, and just show that what we say is not the truth, and they can say way better to peers. But how they could, in very few sentences, summarize the whole course, we're very happy. So, and if you see also these students in these student teams, what they are able to do, so I did not see barriers, and I think they can reflect way better than many researchers at university.
Beautiful.
Because they have the system view. They have, I think, because we partly trained them as engineers of the future, but also these students in these student teams, it's amazing. So, I don't know. I didn't encounter the barriers. I see what you mean, but.
Well, I think basically what I'm now 42, and when I was in my 20s, it's another generation. It's another evolution even. So I think the evolution. I did my NLP courses, my systemical work. I did my TA, so I got a lot of coach experience, like 10 years. But still, how people can reflect on the 20s right now is even way further than me then. And that's good, because that's basically evolution going on. So that's cool. But it's really nice to give them the tools to be able to reflect. And those tools also are under innovation all of the time, because those tools are from another time zone. So that's interesting to look at how that evolves. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something where we can do way more research and yeah, do more innovation. But it's
I really would be engaged to be working about this topic, because innovating the reflection methodology on a more cybernetic point of view is super interesting. How feedback loops really help to reflect, and how feedback loops are always there, but how we interpret them in the context, that's super interesting.
yeah,
How to use
yeah.
this. Super.
I did my PhD on reflection in design, so to show I really like, and I think it's key.
Nice.
So yeah,
Cool.
2001 already. So, but yeah, now it's on for innovation and in education. But yeah, I'm really happy to take along there. Yeah.
Cool.
Akos, you wanted to say something. Is it still relevant for the conversation? Is it, or do you have another question?
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I will keep it short. It was just nice to see that there's so much emphasis on reflections and evaluations, because they are key to learning. Just wanted to add that there is another formal moment in the course itself where we do the midterm, because it's a full semester, so that is quite long period of time. So during the midterm, we also have pitching. They need to make the first version of their personal learning log, the personal reflections. We use Miro as a visual system. So there we have all the reports and all the personal reflections on the board. So there also a visual level of peer-to-peer reflection takes place, because there's cross-pollination. And then what they see and experience, plus the support from the coaching and other staff, they will be able to make an improvement at the end of the course, where they do the next reflection about their own work. So there is an intermediate serious reflection moment as well as a formal part of the course. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
I can add an experience I had with Leiden University on an interdisciplinary research course. Students from philosophy, history, English, social sciences, technical innovation. And the core was social science research. And I was responsible for the reflection part. And we decided to let them reflect on their competences. And that really provided a good focus for the reflection, because if you reflect in general, it's very difficult. And so I find that very, the students really liked it very much, especially because I used reflection, that you reflect on what you envisioned. I tried to implement it also in the HBO at the Hague University, and that really helped also students to reflect the competence. And now at Hogeschool Rotterdam, I try to integrate reflection with learning and research, because it's all cyclical. And I think I would like to talk a bit more about at some other moment on how I try to integrate these processes in order to help students to really become self-directed learners. Yeah. Because if you have different methods, it's too much. And so I will contact you on that to see to share what I'm doing and how it could be validated more broadly.
Interesting. Yes.
Yep.
Thanks.
I have one more question. It's on the composition of your student teams. So it's two questions actually. One is, what is the maximum size of teams that you work with? And the second one is, are those students always in the same course? So are they always in one interdisciplinary course? Or do you also have examples where they come from different courses, or they're more mixed? That's it.
These are two things. So the student teams extracurricular, they are not in a course, or they are in many different courses, so all around, and they are from even we have many Fonti students in our student teams, so from applied sciences. So these the student teams extracurricular, that's a complete mix. In education, there we have at the moment students in the bachelor. We have also mixed with Fonti students. The group size we use is between 4 and 6. 6 is at the max, but the student teams, they are 35. Right? So that's a completely different level. So what we do in education is mainly towards 6. I know that in software engineering they use way bigger groups, but that's then one discipline and they are all programming, and that's some kind of structure, hierarchy there. So then they have groups of 12 or more. But we in the interdisciplinary teams have max 6. And yeah, so.
Okay, thanks.
More questions.
Maybe we go for the last question. Someone has the last question to Isabelle, and then we close this event. If not, then I will make a question to you, Isabelle. I'm very curious because I know that innovation space, also art is part of innovation space. How important is that? How important is art? We heard a little bit design, but how important is art for the approach that you have or the way of working, or the way of the competences, or how you use it, art here?
Yeah, so we have, in a practical way, always 1 or 2 challenges with an artist that we offer. So we had last year an artist in residence in innovation space. So 1 year she offered challenges and so supervised 2 groups to work on challenges. So, but why are we doing this? Because I really believe that the artist can bring another view, really literally another view onto problems, and that's really inspiring for students. They don't come up with that themselves. So we have Isolde Hallensleben, who has also connections, completely different people in the art world she's connected with, and she brings them to us, and we really aim to do way more still. Also, not only in innovation space for the students, but even on campus for the research, because I believe that at the crossroads of art and many other disciplines, many new things can come to being, say. So yeah, I definitely want this connection. And as I said, we are now in the process of really trying to do challenges with St. Lucas Art School in Eindhoven, with the Design Academy. We are always already collaborating with the Dutch Design Week. So several of our projects were already visible there. And this interaction and this other way of thinking, we make also movies of these projects and then show to other students, so to inspire and to show that it really has value. So yeah, that's key. It was not very common at university to include art, just in Studium Generale side things, say, but we try to bring it really into education, in the engineering education.
Yeah, okay. Well, with this question, I close the event. So I really appreciate it. It was really insightful presentation. Thank you very much, Isabelle. I would like to also to make an announcement for the people that is here participating today. Today, I appreciate also all your questions. I want to inform you that we are in the way to organize more events like this. So if you're interested, please contact me. Our next speakers is still in the way to be confirmed is Dr. Sarah Dornstone, is professor at the University Medisch Centrum Utrecht. And she will be talking about the emotional intelligence and its influence on society. So if you want to be informed, just subscribe to our newsletter or keep in touch with me. Thanks a lot. Margot, do you want to close?
Yeah, sure. For one, thanks Mayra and Isabelle for organizing and the presentation, and everyone joining us for the interesting questions and / discussion. And I want to invite everyone to join us again next week. So next week we will actually be back into our usual format with a presentation via YouTube and a Zoom session. And next week that's with Matthijs van Wijk from the TU Ecomotive, who's going to talk about their cars that are made from waste. So we really hope to see everyone. Then again, Isabelle might know them as well. So we really hope that everyone will be able to join us then as well. And if you want to see more information about it or have a look at other talks that we did, you can go to our website, ehvinnovationcafe.org, and see the full program, see past events, get in contact with us if you want to. And that's it. So I hope to see you all next week. And for now, I wish you a good evening.